and welcome to the Nerd Cave Cymru again. Hi guys, how are you doing? Bit of a different one this, because I've never really done a movie review on this channel before, but I guess I kind of have to, being the massive DC fanboy that I am. By the way, full disclosure, yes, I am a massive DC fanboy. I went to see Batman versus Superman the other night. I was going to say Batman and Superman. Batman versus Superman the other night. And yeah, I've had a couple of days to process now. So I do have some thoughts. So I thought I'd share you with them. First things first, let's get it out of the way. Yes, I know it's been slated by the critics. Next point, I loved it. I really enjoyed it, despite what the critics are saying. And some of the criticism I can sort of understand. Some of the criticism I can take on board. A lot of it I can sort of discount, because not just because I'm a DC fanboy, but because I think some people are missing the point. I'll talk about that in a bit. Number one, let's just say this will be spoilerific. It will have spoilers in it, so if you don't want to know who wins, or if you don't want to know any of the details of the movie, then probably best that you watch another video and come back when you're done watching Batman vs Superman, and then sort of agree or disagree with what I've got to say. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it is a long one. That is one of the criticisms I can sort of understand. It's a long film. It's 2 hours 33 minutes. It's trying to pack a lot in, to be fair. I think that's probably the reason why. And there are issues around that as well that people are having. But I'll address those in a bit. Firstly, let's go to the good side. Let's say what's brilliant about the film. The three leads, brilliant. Gal Gadot, brilliant as Wonder Woman. Henry Cavill, again, brilliant as Superman. I really do like his Superman, it has to be said. A lot of people are saying, oh, he's a bit vulnerable. I don't mind that. I like the fact that Superman, for me, works best when he's emotional, when he's vulnerable emotionally, rather than physically, because he's not vulnerable physically. That's the whole point. And again, this is nothing different than from previous films. Christopher Reeve's Superman was always very vulnerable emotionally, very highly strung almost, you know. Some of the criticism has been he goes to save Lois too quickly. Well, you know, Christopher Reeve's Superman turned the world back in time because of Lois Lane, so that doesn't really sort of work as a criticism for me. But yeah, he is very vulnerable emotionally. He does care what people think about Superman, and he is upset when people either don't sort of appreciate Superman for what he is, or just flat out want to badmouth him, which I think we would in the modern world. You know, people have sort of criticised it for being too dark a portrayal of Superman, and I really do think the modern world would reject him like they do at the start of the film. More on that later. Like I say, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So much so that I had to buy the Wonder Woman figure, because she is awesome in the film. And I do like Wonder Woman anyway. I'm quite a big Wonder Woman fanboy. And I was really looking forward to Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. A lot of people, when she was cast, oh, who's this woman? I don't like her at all. And I'm like, well, she looks like Wonder Woman. She'll certainly bulk up to be more like Wonder Woman. And yeah, Wonder Woman. I mean, there's Diana Prince all through the film. She's really good. And then she appears as Wonder Woman, the end in the massive fight with Doomsday. Spoilers! And she's a revelation. She just appears on the scene and just kicks ass. There's one part where Doomsday smacks her really hard and she flies through the air. When she lands on the ground, she smiles and then just gets straight back into the fight. And I'm like, and that's really awesome, because that's what I wanted from Wonder Woman, you know. Very cool character, really good portrayal of Wonder Woman as this kick-ass superhero who's very feminine, and at the same time will beat you to death with your bloody stump of your arm if you cross her. So great stuff. She's not in it for too long, but she's getting her own movie. We know this. She's getting her own movie. We had a little cameo of Chris Pine in one of the photos that Bruce sees when he downloads Lex's files as well, and he does look good. Interesting enough, there was going to be the 1918 war, or at least the picture was. I don't know whether the actual action is going to take place in the Second World War or the First World War. Interesting, and we'll be interested to find that out. Affleck, Batman. Batfleck, the question that was on everybody's lips: what would Batfleck be like? Awesome. I said from the start, he's going to be great. I really have a lot of time for Ben Affleck. I'll watch anything he's in, and he was the fucking bomb in Phantoms, yo. So at the end of the day, I had a feeling, and I kind of knew it'd be okay. And yeah, he's the most Batman that Batman's ever been. We got kind of an origin story at the start, but they're not going down the route of origin story because, quite frankly, do we need one? I've seen a lot of stuff on Facebook and Twitter saying, oh, Batman, he didn't get an origin story, and that's part of the problem with the film. We don't know who this Batman is. If by this point you don't know who Batman is, then you probably shouldn't be going in to see a Batman film. If you don't have a clue who Batman is or what Batman's about or his shtick, then yeah, you probably will never know who Batman is at this point. We've had 3 Christopher Nolan films. We had 4 Tim Burton-y kind of films that we had. Obviously 2 of them weren't Tim Burton, they were Joel Schumacher, but you get what I mean. It's the same Batman. You've had about 7 films in the modern era to sort of get used to him in the last 20 years. If you don't know who Batman is at this point, you never will. Superman got his origin story, Wonder Woman will get hers, and the other 3 you'll have. Cyborg probably, but kind of had an origin story in the film. Flash, we kind of know who Flash is, and Aquaman, everybody knows who Aquaman is. Jason Momoa looks like a beast as Aquaman as well. I really liked the bit in the ship where you just see his eyes glittering in the darkness. That was really creepy and really cool. Can't wait for an Aquaman movie. Aquaman is cool. I will have no truck with anyone who says he isn't. You've been warned. But yeah, Affleck was brilliant. He was very tortured. He was very distrusting of Superman, as Batman is in the comics. You know, let's not forget, Batman keeps files on everybody and a kryptonite bullet for Superman. So it's not like Batman's the trusting soul in the comics who's busy mates with Clark all the time. He isn't. And he, you know, in this universe, he certainly isn't at the start. But they are being manipulated by the next character, which is Lex Luthor, played by Jesse Eisenberg, who I said, I like this guy. I think I'm going to like him. And like him, I did. He was very, very good, was Eisenberg. No, he wasn't the Lex Luthor that some people know and love. He wasn't the big thick-set businessman with the bald head. He was a weedy, manipulative little shit from the start. And I like that. I like the fact that he is. Gail Simone said it on a Twitter feed that she's much more scared of that portrayal than she would be by any other. And the fact of the matter is, Lex has never had a continuity of portrayal in the films or in anything. He's always been different. He's always changed with the times. You know, in the 50s, in the Atomic Age, he was an evil scientist. In the 80s, he became this businessman. In the Gene Hackman portrayal, he was just a criminal mastermind, you know. He wasn't any kind of superpowered guy or scientist in particular. Kind of a scientist, but not too much. But you see my meaning, you know, even in Lois and Clark, he was different. He was much closer to the John Byrne Man of Steel portrayal. And then you've got him in the cartoons as well, the Clancy Brown version. So he's never been a definitive continuity for Lex Luthor. So Eisenberg is just adding to that proud tradition. I really liked him. And I really liked the fact that the knowledge that he got from the Kryptonian ship sent him a bit mad, sent him a bit insane, because he found out about the big bad of the Justice League film, which, you know, I'll talk about a bit later. But Eisenberg was really cool as Lex Luthor, and I really liked the fact that he was this ruthless little shit who decided, I'll just blow up Capitol Hill if they won't give me what I want. That's what I'll do. So he did. And he got away with it on the whole as well until the end. And he also manipulated Clark and Bruce emotionally, because he can't stand up to them physically. He can't. He would get pasted by both of them in a second. So he manipulated Bruce into hating Superman and not trusting him, and his paranoia getting the better of him. And he manipulated Clark by kidnapping his mother and getting him to fight Bruce on those terms. Again, people saying, oh, well, Superman wouldn't do that. Well, he didn't want to do that. If you actually watch the film, then he does try reasoning with Bruce twice before smacking him into buildings and stuff. But Bruce doesn't want to know. He doesn't want to listen. I also like the fact that Bruce used the kryptonite to weaken Superman so he could have a man-on-man fight. Their whole thing is that Bruce partly doesn't trust him because he can't be hurt, and if you can't hurt, then you can't understand what people are, and that people are breakable. I think that's a lot of Bruce's mistrust of Superman, is that he doesn't think that Superman understands that people are breakable and that people are mortal. If you're immortal, how can you possibly know this? It's the thing that's been running through Doctor Who for a few seasons as well. If you're functionally immortal, how can you possibly relate to the people you're trying to save? And this theme that runs through the film, you know, this paranoia that Bruce has about Superman and the godlike alien in general. You see that whole dream sequence with the Nazi Superman soldiers who were basically, well, they're working with parademons. I did say that in the cinema. I went, parademons! And everybody's like, what? Because obviously they don't know parademons and Darkseid like I do. Which brings us to the big bad of the Justice League film. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Darkseid, definitely, because there were lots and lots of parademons in that dream sequence, and I was very excited for one about that. Doomsday. We've got to get onto Doomsday. Yes, I kind of... Maybe Doomsday shouldn't have been in this movie. I do like the fact that he was. I do like the fact that he was the glue that held them together at the end, that made them all join together. I do like the way he was introduced. I think that was very clever to have Luthor's DNA mixed with Zod to make this ultimate beast, this ultimate Kryptonian nightmare that had been foreseen by the Kryptonian archives, and was, you know, it seems that they tried this before and it had failed and you weren't allowed to do this. It was an abomination against nature and blah blah blah. So the computer tried warning him, he did it anyway and created Doomsday. Two good things about it. I like the fact that he evolved when he was hit by the nuclear bomb. I like the fact that it smacked into him, he fell to Earth, and he ripped his skin off and transformed into the Doomsday we all know and love. That was quite cool, because I was thinking, oh, he's just got up after that. But no, it did affect him, so he evolved, and that's great. So that wouldn't work a second time. I also like the fact there that Superman was in space looking very ill and skeletal, and the yellow sun superpowered him back again so he could go back to fight. I do like that to be shown. I like that to be seen. I like the fact that they each had their hero moment against Doomsday. I like the fact that it was Batman shooting the last kryptonite grenade, sorry, not DNA, into Doomsday's face that weakened him enough that Superman could kill him. I like the fact that Wonder Woman used a lasso of truth to hold him down. That end fight was pretty awesome. To see them all fighting together was pretty goddamn awesome, and I really did enjoy that. Superman died, or did he? No, he didn't. He's been killed in the very similar sort of fashion to Alan Quatermain in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I hope that's not foreshadowing to the next film. I hope that doesn't mean we don't get another one. We'll get another one. But yeah, obviously that you had the whole Superman died and Clark died, obviously, so Clark had his burial with his real body in Smallville, and obviously Superman had the massive funeral in Metropolis, very, very much evoking the Death of Superman storyline there as well. And that will put to bed any of the fear and any of the hatred towards Superman that anybody in Metropolis has, because now they will see as their saviour. He saved the world, he saved them, and they will very much be on the side of Superman going forward. Now, whether he'll appear straight away the next Justice League film, I don't think he will. I think he'll come at the end and save them against Darkseid, which will be very, very cool, I think. It was a shame to see him die. I do realise why they did it, because they need him to die to come back. And yeah, Eisenberg at the end getting threatened by Batman with his Batbrand. Again, something that people are going on about, oh, he killed people in this film, as if he'd never killed anybody in a film at all. I don't think he directly killed anyone. I think he put them in situations where they died, which sort of fits in with Nolan's Batman, you know? I won't kill you, but I sure as hell won't save you. And also Keaton's Batman killed fucking loads of people, and those films are seen as classics of the Batman genre. In every film the villain got killed pretty much, apart from the Riddler. Mr. Freeze and Ivy didn't get killed, but then they were being touted to kids, those films, effectively. But in the Burton films, he was killing everybody. And he had machine guns on his car as well, so people... They're not being inconsistent here. And like I say, I don't think he directly killed anybody. I think he put them in situations where they would die. The Batman thing, well, the Batman thing, that's a sign that Batman's getting too old and too cynical, and he needs someone to remind him what justice is and remind him how to go about his business. I think that's where Superman comes in at the end of the day, you know, ideally. Again, it's the same thing with, you know, snapping Zod's neck. The fact that he's done that means Superman will never kill anybody again. I think he wants to teach that lesson to Bruce, and I think that is part of what they're doing in that as well. But all in all, I thought it was a great film. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the DC universe. I think it fitted in really well. It definitely wasn't a Marvel movie. It wasn't trying to be. I think the problem with some of the criticism I've seen, and I'm trying to be as fair as I can and not go, "Nee, you're just horrible people in your cell." At the end of the day, I understand kind of where they're coming from on some points, and other points I think they're being a bit unfair. I think where people are being a bit unfair is they're expecting it to be along the lines of a Marvel movie, or how the Marvel universe was set up. The Marvel universe did it a certain way. They brought in characters one by one in their own films and then had an event movie. I think the problem DC has is that a lot of the characters that are coming into this, they're already known. Why bother doing another origin story for Batman? Why bother doing a massive origin story straight away for Wonder Woman? Everybody knows who Wonder Woman is. Not many people, and people will disagree with me on this, but you know, at the end of the day, not many people knew who Iron Man was or cared about Iron Man before Robert Downey Jr. put the suit on. If Robert Downey Jr. ever leaves, I'll be interested to see how many people care about Iron Man after that. But they didn't know, they didn't care. It's the same with Captain America. People didn't like him, and I remember the fears that people had when Captain America's film came out, and they said, well, will people care? And if it hadn't been for Chris Evans and the way he was portrayed in that, I don't think people would have. So, you know, it's a very slippery slope to criticise a set of movies where people already know the characters and then say, well, Marvel did it this way. Marvel had to do it that way because people didn't know Captain America, Thor, Iron Man in the same way that maybe everybody knows Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. I think also the danger is to say, well, this is how every comic book movie should be done because Marvel did it this way. I don't think that's the way to do it. I think there is room for different ways of doing it, different ways of looking at it, looking at the genre. Marvel has its very upbeat, sort of wisecracking, semi-serious way of doing it. DC have always been a bit more austere. DC have always been a bit more serious in the modern era. Obviously, you've got the Golden Age, but this isn't the Golden Age. They're not trying to be the Golden Age. They're trying to be now. And now, DC Comics take themselves quite seriously, which I personally prefer. It's not to everyone's taste, and I think it's not to a lot of critics' taste. It will be to a lot of DC fans' taste, and I think the movie will make its money back and a lot of profit, and it's had really good box office so far. And I think obviously that means that DC and Warner Brothers will go forward and make more DC Universe movies. I really want them to. I think it is worth looking at, and obviously the universe will grow, it'll expand, it'll get different characters in that won't always be the grimdark versions that we've seen now. But Batman is grimdark. At the end of the day, there's no getting away from the fact that he will always be a grimdark character, and that anything with him in it is going to be grimdark for at least bits. You need to get the characters like Green Lantern and Cyborging, and hopefully, or definitely, that will lighten it up a bit. You know, the fact that you can't criticise a comic book movie by saying, oh, it's got no jokes in it. Well, how many jokes did Blade have in it, for fuck's sake, you know? None. At the end of the day, don't judge everything by how light or dark it is. Judge it by the tone. And also the other thing that they criticised it. Well, I've seen it criticised for having no plot, too much plot, not enough plot, and plot. Marvel fans, please, please, please. If you ever said that you liked The Age of Ultron and thought that was a brilliant movie, don't come back to anybody, you know, going on about plot. Literally, that film has no plot. You know, also don't... I don't want to be nasty to Marvel and Marvel fans, because at the end of the day, I like the Marvel films, but let's not kid ourselves into thinking every one of them is absolutely brilliant and a paragon of cinema, because Thor: The Dark World exists, and at the end of the day, that's one of the worst movies ever made. Seriously, I remember nothing about that movie other than the fact that Doctor Who was in it. But anyway, I'm not going to slag Marvel films off, and I'm not going to slag Marvel off. I'm not even going to slag critics off. I'm going to say I'm a bit disappointed in some of them because they maybe haven't looked a bit deeper than, oh, it's not a Marvel movie. At the end of the day, it's not going to spoil my enjoyment of the film. It's not going to spoil my enjoyment of the characters. I thought it was brilliant. If you haven't seen it, and you have, well, you spoiled it for yourselves now, haven't you? But if you haven't seen it, please go and see the film. It's absolutely brilliant. I really, really couldn't have enjoyed it any more than I did. I will be back another time because I have quite a few Batman vs Superman things that I want to look at as well, including the figure of Wonder Woman, a couple of Funko Pops, and other things as well that I want to look at. Not just relating to that film, but relating to a lot of films and stuff as well. So thank you for being with me today. I shall see you anon. Bye bye for now.